Welcome, everyone. So today, we are diving headfirst into one of the deepest secrets imaginable, a real mystery that's been hiding right under our noses, encoded in the very first words of the Bible.
That's so true. I mean, we all think we know the story of creation, right? But what if I told you that the opening line isn't really about an act of creation, but the incredible result of it? What if the name we've always associated with the Creator is actually the name of the creation itself?
Okay, that's a huge idea. Let's get right into it. We're about to go on a journey into the Zohar's absolutely radical, luminous vision of the cosmos.
Bereshit Bara Elohim. These might just be the most famous words ever put to paper. They're like the foundation stone of our entire consciousness. The beginning, the creation, the creator. It all seems so clear.
Yeah, it feels so solid, so certain, doesn't it? But the Zohar, which is really the heart of Jewish mysticism, it tells us, hold on a second, pause, look closer. Because right there, in that third word, Elohim, that's where the key to everything is hidden.
And here it is. This is the big pivot. Our entire explainer today really hinges on this one absolutely breathtaking idea. The Zohar is asking us to completely flip our understanding on its head. It's suggesting that Elohim is not the one doing the creating. No, not at all. Instead, Elohim is the magnificent, unbelievably complex, and luminous structure that's being created. It's a cosmic architecture, a palace.
And look, here it is, straight from the source code itself, right from the Zohar. It says, with this beginning, the concealed unknown one created this palace. And then it delivers the punchline, this palace is called Elohim. Wow. So the point here is just, it's mind-blowing. Some deeper, unknowable source uses this concept of a beginning to build a structure, a vessel for all of reality. And the name of that very structure is Elohim. The game is just completely changed.
So to really unpack this incredible idea, we've broken our journey down into 6 parts. We're going to start with the secret sauce, the thing that exists even before the beginning. Then we'll trace the whole process of how a single point just unfolds into this massive system. We'll explore the architecture of that system, and then we're actually going to take a tour of the luminous palace itself. And to wrap it all up, we'll translate all this ancient wisdom into 2 modern blueprints. One's a video game, the other's a cosmic engineering diagram, before bringing it all home to what it means for you, right here and right now.
Okay, let's dive into section 1, the secret in the beginning. See, to really understand this palace, we have to go all the way back to the source. And I don't just mean to the first moment of creation. I mean, we have to go to the silence before that first moment, to the ultimate mystery where all reality comes from.
The Zohar has a name for this source, Setima Delo Itiata, which means the concealed unknown one. Now, this isn't a being like we think of one, with a will or personality. It's pure, infinite, unmanifested potential. The Ein Sof, literally without end. It's so far beyond our conception that the mystics say it has no name. You can't even form a hint of it in your thoughts. All the names and descriptions we have, they only apply to what's been revealed, to what's already been manifested.
Right. This is absolute, pure, static infinity. And it's from this total unknowability that a single impulse to create is about to emerge. Not a thought, not a plan, but this primal stirring, a desire to be known.
And that leads us perfectly into section 2. Because creation wasn't just a big poof and everything appeared. No, the Zohar describes it as a logical, step-by-step process, a kind of unfolding. And we can actually track this process by following a cascade of divine names, where each name is like a new layer of manifestation, a new stage in the cosmic boot-up sequence. Okay, so this is where it gets really cool, because we can map this ancient mystical process directly onto modern technology. It all kicks off with Reshit, the beginning. It's a primal point of potential. You can think of it like the root kernel of an operating system. All the instructions, all the potential, just compressed and waiting to be executed.
Then, that kernel starts a process called Ehyeh, which means I will be. This is the system literally declaring its own existence. It's the self-declaring input-output. The code starts to run. After that comes Asher, meaning that which acts as a linking protocol. It allows for recursion, for relationships. It's how all the different parts of the system start talking to each other.
And all of that culminates in Elohim, the fully formed system architecture. It's the stable environment where all the laws of reality can finally execute. It's the palace.
Let's really try to visualize this. Imagine, out of the infinite nothingness of the unknown one, a single, dimensionless point of pure potential emerges. That's Reshit. It's a singularity that contains everything that will ever exist, but it's all compressed, unmanifested, the one. And then, that point, it wakes up. It declares a yea, I will be. Suddenly, it's not just a static point anymore. It's an active process of becoming. It's developing an identity, a kind of self-awareness. The potential starts to move, to radiate, to want to express itself. And this new self-awareness then creates a relationship with itself. It forms a link, a share, that which is. It becomes this recursive loop, I will be that which I will be. And this step is so critical because it's what allows for complexity, for connection. The point can now relate to its own process, creating the possibility for an entire internal universe of relationships. And this whole flow, from point to process to protocol, it finally crystallizes. It stabilizes into a coherent, structured system that has defined laws and boundaries, a vast, intricate architecture. And this is the palace called Elohim. It is the knowable structure that was generated by the unknowable source.
So that brings us to section 3. But why a palace? I mean, why use this metaphor of architecture? Well, the mystical concept here is that the infinite, formless light of the divine, what they call the Or Ein Sof, it can't be perceived directly. For it to manifest, for it to become knowable, it needs a vessel, a container, a kerli.
Exactly. Without a container, the infinite light would just be, well, infinite light. It would overwhelm everything. Nothing distinct could ever exist. So to have a world, to have things, to have life, you first have to build the house that reality is going to live in.
And this is just a brilliant illustration of that idea. The Tikkunei Zohar points out this hidden code inside the very first word of the Torah. Bereshit can actually be rearranged to read Resh Beit, which literally means the head of the house. So the first act of creation wasn't making a thing. It was making a place for things. The primal instruction was basically, build a house. Creation itself is the act of constructing a container for the divine so it can dwell within it and be perceived.
And this is exactly why the name of this structure is Elohim. You see, in Kabbalah, all the different divine names correspond to different attributes. The name we know as YHVH is associated with infinite mercy, with Rachamim. It's that boundless flow. But Elohim is the name associated with din, with judgment, structure, boundaries, and law.
Right. Elohim represents the laws of nature, the principles of physics, the very framework that makes reality orderly and predictable. It's the force of limitation that carves out space inside the infinite so that a finite world can actually exist. It is the cosmic blueprint that takes that boundless, wild energy of the unknown one and gives it form, making it finite and knowable. It is the architecture of the palace.
Okay, so the palace is built. Now, in section 4, let's actually step inside. Of course, this isn't a structure made of stone and mortar. It's a palace of consciousness, of pure divine energies. Its inner dimensions are organized by what the Kabbalists call the 10 Sephirot, and they are coded with the most radiant color and number.
So this is one of my favorite parts, how the Zohar describes what it's like to be inside this palace. The walls aren't static at all. They're these shimmering, shifting panes of luminous color. And each color represents a fundamental divine energy, an attribute, a sephira.
Yeah, the sources describe this whole spectrum. You've got this radiant white chivar, which stands for chesed, pure, expansive, loving kindness, kind of like the nature of water. Then there's this deep, powerful red sumak for gevura, strength, judgment, constraint, really the essence of fire.
And in the middle, you have this balancing, harmonious green, yarak, for teferet, which is all about beauty and synthesis, the quality of air. And it all culminates in this deep black, or maybe sapphire blue, ucham, for malchut, the final point of manifestation, where all that divine light finally touches the earth. This isn't just decoration. These are the textures of reality itself, the emotional and spiritual building blocks of the cosmos.
And the architecture is also built on numbers. It all starts with 1, that single point of Reshit. That 1 point unfolds into 5 primary forces, and from there we get to 10, the number of completion. The 10 Sefirot, which form the 10 main chambers or dimensions of the palace. It's the complete system.
Then you have 13. That's the number of unity and love. It represents the 13 attributes of mercy that flow like a current of lifeblood through the palace, keeping it alive, and making sure that all that structure of din doesn't just become a cold, rigid prison. And finally, 32. This is the number of connection.
These are the 32 wondrous paths of wisdom, made up of the 10 Sefirot and the 22 Hebrew letters. They're like the corridors that connect all the chambers, creating a single, integrated, living, breathing whole.
All right, so we've just toured this vast, abstract cosmic structure. In Section 5, we're going to bring it down to Earth and make it intensely practical. We're going to offer 2 modern blueprints, 2 ways of translating this ancient map so you can actually use it. One is a video game, and the other is a cosmic engineering diagram.
The first blueprint thinks of this whole thing as a playable model of reality. The goal isn't just to understand it intellectually, but to actually navigate it, to master its levels, unlock its powers. It's really an experiential path, all about living inside the system. The second blueprint is more like an architectural diagram for existence itself, and the goal here is to really understand the system's logic, its deep structure. It's more of a systems thinking path, about knowing the system from the outside in. Both get you to the same place, they just use different doors.
Okay, let's play the game. Imagine you spawn into existence at the Bereshit point, the origin singularity. You're just pure potential. So your first quest is to unlock your creative powers by finding the name keys. AA, I will be, gives you the power of self-definition. Asher, that which, lets you form connections. Now your main mission, construct the Elohim Palace. That's the game's world map. It's got 10 main levels, the Sephiron. Then, it's time to explore. You navigate the levels, you master the unique powers of each color zone. Do you want to go to the white zone of Chesed to level up your compassion? Or maybe the red zone of Gevura to master discipline? The palace is your playground.
Okay, now let's look at it from the engineering perspective. Bereshit is the singularity kernel. It's the initial unexecuted code that contains all potential for the whole system. The progression of names, Achia and Asher, they act like abstraction layers. They translate the pure potential of that kernel into more and more concrete functions, kind of like APIs for reality. The Hikal, the palace, is an emergent field of order that gets generated by this process. And finally, Elohim is the ultimate output, a virtualized container. It's a stable, self-contained operating environment where all the laws of reality, physics, biology, consciousness can be compiled and run. It's the ultimate server for existence itself.
And that brings us to our final and, honestly, the most important section, homecoming to the source. Because we've been exploring this huge cosmic architecture that seems like it's out there. But the deepest secret of all is that this palace, it's not just a map of the cosmos, it's a blueprint of you.
The Kabbalists teach that every single human being is a microcosm of this entire divine structure. The technical term they use is shiur koma, which means the stature of the body. Those 10 Sefirot, those 10 cosmic chambers we toured, they directly correspond to the centers of energy in our own consciousness, our psychology, and even our physical body.
You are living architecture. You are a walking, breathing palace of Elohim.
So when we talk about the white chamber of Chesed, we're really talking about your capacity for boundless kindness. When we talk about the red chamber of Gevura, we mean your inner power for discipline and discernment. And that green chamber of Tiferet, that's your innate sense of harmony and beauty. The entire tour we just took of the cosmic palace was really a tour of your own soul. The map of the macrocosm is the map of the microcosm.
And so we want to leave you with this one final, really crucial question. If you were living within this luminous palace, if its chambers are the states of your own consciousness, which chamber are you in right now? Are you in the expansive white light of kindness, the focused red of discipline, the balanced green of harmony? Or are you somewhere else entirely? The map is in your hands now.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week.
If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.